Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha. The teachings are Eliezer Malame Shlita. Well, here we are, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parshas Devarim, also known as Shabbos Chazon, which takes its name from the Haftorah. Already we can feel the elements of Tisha B'Av creeping into Shabbos, as it were, with the Haftorah being read Benigun Eicha. Many have the custom of doing L'cha Dodi to Eli Tzion, etc., etc., but we are going to continue our week of learning and conclude. It's been sort of a Pishnayim. I guess it makes sense if it's Devarim, which is Mishnah Torah, then we should have double. So we've had double Seifim all week, just so we could cover the material in time for Tisha B'Av. We ask you to please continue davening for Chalei Tzvagan Israel, for Shalom Chol B'Tzvei Israel, safety of our brothers and sisters in Israel, and we learn each day Le'ilei Nishmat Sarah and Daniel Shum Ben Harav, Doron V'Shel Shem Kem Damo. Shchiva v'yeshiva al haaretz. Mitzad hadin ein chovel lishon v'lasheves al haaretz b'Tisha B'Av. Technically speaking, from what's called mitzad hadin, there's no obligation to sleep or to sit on the ground on Tisha B'Av. Because the Gemara in Tainus on Daf Lamed Amav says, "Kol mitzvahs hanogas be'evel nogos b'Tisha B'Av." The Gemara says whatever mitzvahs are observed or practices observed during Avelos, during mourning, are observed on Tisha B'Av. That's chalrak al isuri Avelos, but this is only as far as the prohibitions of Avelos. Kabo, for instance, rechitza sicha nilas asandal tashmish hamita amir shalom talmud Torah. Washing, anointing, wearing leather shoes, marital relations, giving greetings, studying Torah. Aval mitzvah she'aval chayv bahen, kamo kfiyas hamita va'yeshiva la'aretz. But the mitzvahs which an avel, a mourner, is required to do, something called kfiyas hamita, which is not practiced today, of lowering the bed, sitting on the ground. Mitzad adin ein chalos b'Tisha B'Av. Technically speaking, he quotes from the Torah in Taf Kuf Nun Hey. These do not apply in Tisha B'Av. V'afal pikei nogel v'ateh avelos b'Tisha B'Av gam b'shchiva v'yeshiva. Nevertheless, we still have this expression of mourning on Tisha B'Av when we sit and lie down. Ela shekivan she'soded den minhag dinim kalam yoser. However, since this is only founded in a minhag, it's not halacha, so we have some leniencies more so than an avail. So, for instance, shchiva, when it comes to lying down, yeshnog and lishon al aretz, some have the custom of sleeping on the ground. Yeshnog and lishon below kar, some people have a custom of sleeping without a pillow. V'yesh menichin even tachas merash v'seim, where some people will put a stone under their heads just to create some uncomfortability. Efshel l'kaim es minig avail saydei horadas ham marzel la'aretz below lahasir asakar. One can certainly fulfill this custom, this practice of avelos, by lowering the mattress to the ground without taking off any of the pillows, etc. And some people will put a stone or something underneath the mattress. If this is difficult for one to sleep like this, you could sleep as you normally would. As far as yeshiva goes, what about sitting? And we do have the custom of sitting on the ground like mourners do. Since this is not minadin, so we aren't strict in this regard until the whole day, until the end of Tisha B'Av. So most of Ashkenaz and some Sephardim, we only observe this until midday. And some in Sfard only will be makbid in this until davening mincha. And also people who are going to take a nap during the day don't have to lower the mattress either during the daytime. Since there's no obligation in halacha to sit on the ground, you could sit on some sort of pillow. But the idea is to sit low, that it's not longer more than a tefach off the ground. If it's difficult for someone to sit so low, one can sit on a chair, a low chair that doesn't reach 3 tvachim, about 9 to 12 inches, let's say, and even perhaps higher than that if it's needed. Yeshiva al madregos nechsheves kishiva lakarka. If you're sitting on stairs or steps, this is like sitting on the ground. Kivin shedorch malay, because this is what people walk on. Mubaros zekenim cholim v'aslovim mekeve gav. People who are pregnant, if you're elderly, sick, or people who have back problems, shekashalem l'sheves al kisei namuch v'shom l'sheves al kisei ragil, and they cannot sit on a low chair or certainly on the floor, can sit on a regular chair. The next chapter is Asiyas Malacha. Amar Chachamim. Chazal tell us in Gemara and Tainus Adaf Lamed, the aforementioned Gemara, that anyone who does malacha on Tisha B'Av, works on Tisha B'Av, is not going to see a sign of blessing from that forever. Because he is removing his concentration from the Avelis and focusing on other things. Aval, kiven shein takanas chachamim mefureshes le'esar malacha b'Tisha B'Av, hayu makom shenoga lester v'hayu makom shenoga later. But since this was never particularly explained or detailed what Chazal meant, so there are places where people did do malacha and some people that did not. So Chazal say that depending on the custom of where you are. In a place where they did not have the custom of doing malacha on Tisha B'Av, then you can't do it. And it seems the widespread custom is that we don't do malacha on Tisha B'Av until midday. And after midday, it's proper to refrain from it. We don't want to remove our thinking from the morning of Tisha B'Av. Only if there's a great need will we have malacha performed. If, however, you have some sort of task that if you avoid it, it's going to cause inherent loss, a real loss, just as one would be allowed to do so, like a davar ha'avad on Chol HaMoed, it would be allowed even before Chatzos on Tisha B'Av. What are these malachas that we're talking about? We're talking about certain types of tasks which take your concentration and a lot of bother, and it distracts you from what you're doing otherwise. Kagon tfira, tikkun begadim. So let's say sewing, fixing garments, rehitim, machshir chashmal, working on furniture, working on electronics, v'chei mischar, any sort of business. But just turning on a light, let's say, lighting a fire, kshira v'atorah, tying something, untying something. We're not talking about like malachas of Shabbos. Nisiel Litzorach, driving in the car to go where you need to go. These are all allowed. Why? Because driving in the car to get to shul does not take your mind off of the Avelis, for instance. Writing is considered part of these prohibited activities. Because it distracts you from the Avelis. But if it's something that has to do with Tisha B'Av, one will be allowed to write it down. If you need to sell items required for the meal that people eat after Tisha B'Av, this would be allowed. And even after Chatzos, midday, one will be allowed to prepare the meal for after the fast. So very righteous women would, after midday on Tisha B'Av, they would clean the house, almost like a Pesach cleaning, getting everything in order. Why? Because they were waiting that Mashiach was born on Tisha B'Av, and Mashiach is going to come on Tisha B'Av. So he says we should not get in their way. It's good advice in general, by the way, but such holy thoughts, certainly one should not prevent women from doing so. A Jew can ask a non-Jew to do malacha on his behalf on Tisha B'Av. But things that are done publicly, so to have a contractor building something on your house, or opening your store, or something like that, also this is prohibited, because this seems to be a degradation, a denigration of the public aspect of mourning. So the idea is that we have to have the full observance of Tisha B'Av with our mind, and also with everything that we're doing. So this brings us to the conclusion of our week, and we have another week, and we'll hopefully get the rest of the Simanim in. So please continue davening for Chayil Yitzhak and Yisrael, for Shalom Chol Yisrael. Save your brothers and sisters in Israel. Thank you so much for joining us. Shabbat Shalom and Barach. Have a peaceful and restful Shabbos, and we'll see you here next week. Have a great day.